you can simply Googling Scholastic Art and Writing Contest. Okay, so the first one should be it. Let's take a look. Okay, so here, once we got into this main page, at the right corner, there should be a login option. So click login. And if you haven't registered, click create an account. If you haven't created an account and then you're by your laptop, we can do it together right now. If you have any questions, you can ask me during the meeting. Okay, so we can click an account, create an account. And then since you're a student, you will choose I'm a teen, the first option. And then you can put in your date of birth. For example, I'll just put in a random date. And then you should choose the year that you're in. For example, if you're 9th grader, you're 10th grader, and then that should be it. And then you should click create my account. And then it will take you to the next page where you fill out your personal information. All right. If you have your website ready, you can fill out with me. Okay. For example, your first name right here, and then your last name. Your pronoun, that's up to you. If you prefer not to share, or just choose your own pronoun. And also your ethnicity. You can choose based on your own situation right here. Of course, if you don't want to share, you can always choose prefer not to share. And then your email. The email should be an email address that you use pretty often. Here, one thing I want to point out is this year, Scholastic has upgraded their system. So the system is different right now. And if you have a pass, you probably couldn't use it anymore. So if you try to use your old email and log in, you probably couldn't. We'll create a new account and then you can still use the previous email address, okay? You can use the previous email address. So here, let's put in the email again. Here, you should put in your phone number. If you don't have a US phone number, you can put in my number. Here it is. So it's 215-813-6292. If you're studying in China, for example, if you don't have a US or Canada phone number, you can put in my number right here. Now, of course, you should put in a password, choose your own password right here. That's the end for the first section, the first personal info section. And then they will ask about your parents' information. So you should put in your parents' name right here. Just your dad or your mom or your guardian. For example, I'll put in my own name right here. And then leave your parents' email. This email should be different than the email you use to register for this account. Now, for example, I put in this email account as my parents' account. And then that's it. That's the second part. And then for the last part, you should find your school. So if you study in the US or in Canada, you should be able to find your school right here, find your own school. But if you are studying in China, for example, you should choose the second option. I am a homeschool participant, okay? If you study in the United States and in Canada, you should put in your own school. If you're studying in China, then choose the second option. Okay, if you choose the homeschool participant, then the country should be United States. The state will be Pennsylvania, right here, Pennsylvania. And then the school zip code will be 19060. That's the school zip code. And then your school name, it should be, usually we'll put in Ivymind, but this year we'll use a different name. It's called Laurel and Ferris Academy. So you can put in Laurel and try to search for one. It's okay if it doesn't come out. You can just click create my account right now, and then we'll finish this info later after we create this account. Alrighty, so that's all we need. That's all the information we need to create this account. Because I have already created an account, so now we can just log in. All right, let me log in the account I created before. Okay, so this will be your home page, right? This is the dashboard. It definitely look different than the previous system. Okay, so right here you can see the deadline, right? The art deadline, the writing deadline. Each state will have a different deadline. So this deadline is for like Pennsylvania state or like Philadelphia area, right? And here is your personal info. On the left side, account profile, right? That's your personal information, like we put in right now. And then your parents' information, you can still change your parents' name or their email. Okay. And school right here. Okay. So once again, if you're studying in China or any other country other than Canada or United States, you should choose homeschool, right? If you study in the US or Canada, just put in your own school. If not, then say you're a homeschool participant. And then other educational program, you should be able to see this section. You should click add program and add this program. Okay, this is the name we're using this year. This is also under Ivymind, and this is the address. Okay, the address is 5 Pennock Drive, Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania. The zip code right here is 19060. Okay, I'll pause here for a bit. If you're a homeschool student, which means, for example, you study in China, this is how your info page should look like. Okay, I'll pause here for a bit and wait for you to finish. And if you have any questions so far, you can just unmute yourself and ask me the question or type in chat. Okay, so here we have a question. If I study in the United States, which school do I enter? Once again, if you study in the United States and also Canada, you should enter your own school. Don't say your home school if you study in the US and in Canada. Just put in your own school right here. This page is for a student who study in China or countries other than United States and Canada. All right, let's move on. So after you have, okay, I see one more question. Yes, if you study in the United States or Canada, you can leave the educational program section empty. You can also add this program, but it's not necessary or it's not mandatory. All right, so after you have your information ready, we'll go back to the dashboard. You can click work section right here. So now this is empty, right? I haven't uploaded any work. So we can do it all together. For example, you can choose add work right here, right? So you put in some basic information for your work. This year there is a change. There is a change is that they ask you to write a brief summary of your work below. Okay, right here. It doesn't need to be long, but it should be appealing. It should be attractive. It should make the judges want to read your work, want to read your actual work. So just a very brief summary could be like 2 to 3 sentences, but make sure it's very attractive. Okay, so here, put in the title. I'll use a poetry I found online as an example, right? So this will be the title. This is just an example. Okay, this is a poetry I found online. And this is writing. Okay, and the category will be poetry. Okay, so I should write a brief summary. For example, you can say this is a poetry about something. Okay, or this is an essay about something. Of course, you can write your own summary and then send it to our essay teacher. Our teacher will help you to polish it. Okay. So, and then school information. Once again, if you're homeschool, you should choose this one. Okay. We already added this one in the previous step, so you should choose this one if you're a homeschool student. And if you study in the US or Canada, just choose your own school. Okay, here you can choose an educator. You can choose Betty, right? Miss Betty right here. If you are studying in US or Canada and then your school teacher didn't help you or with anything, you can choose I created this work independently. Or you can add this program and then add Miss Betty. Okay, now we're going forward. Save and continue. Okay, now we upload our work. Our work right here. Okay. Once again, let me use this example right here. Okay, for example. Okay, you can copy and paste your work right here. And after you've done so, make sure there's no mistake. Okay, after you copy and paste, make sure there's no missing letters or weird format. Just make sure everything's okay. Read through it. Okay. And here they will ask your source, right? Did you quote another writer? Especially, for example, in some essays, you may quote other writer. If so, you can choose yes. And did you paraphrase another writer, or were you inspired by another writer? You can answer those 3 questions based on your own situation. All right. So make sure the information is correct. Make sure your work is uploaded correctly, and make sure you answer the 3 questions, and then save and continue. This is required. Let's say no. If you choose yes, there will be follow-up questions, right? To one of the questions you should answer, you should include a reference or a URL. Okay. I'll choose no right here. I see one question in the chat. How many entries are we allowed to upload in total? I don't think there's a limit. I don't think so. Yeah, you can upload as many entries as you want. All right, save and continue. Okay, so now there are some scholarship or award opportunity. If you want to choose it, you can click no, and then you may have to write something to apply it for it. Otherwise, you can just choose no, and then continue. All right, so now your work should be ready, and this is the review section, and we should review everything right here. So general information, make sure your title is correct, and the category, and the summary, all right? Make sure everything is correct. And then you have uploaded your work right here, and then your sources. Once again, make sure your personal information is correct. If anything looks good, you can choose those 2, and then finish enter for judging. Right. So after you upload your work, it will ask you to pay. You can choose to pay now, or you can choose to pay later. This year, because they upgrade their system, so you should be able to pay online. You don't need to mail a check anymore. So let's, for example, we can pay later if we want to add more work. Okay. See, now we have upload on one work, right? If you have more work, you can keep uploading it and then pay them together. Up here, you can see they're saying you haven't paid for work. Okay, if you click you want to pay, and each entry should be $10, right? You can use credit card or debit card to pay. And if, because this is the second time I upload a work right here. When I was trying the system for myself, so I upload my first work, and it may ask you to have your parents' permission, to have your parent approval to participate in this contest. If so, you should be able to see an email in your parents' email address. It should look like this. So the title will be your teen has requested approval to participate in the Scholastic Award, right? Your parents should receive this email. This might appear in the trash mailbox or in the spam. Check for every inbox. And then you can click right here. You can, if you click this link, it will take you to another web page. It should look like this right now. So parents' approval is quite simple. You can just do it for your parent. You can do it yourself. Just click accept the terms and condition and then approve. And then that will be it. Alrighty, that's basically everything. That's what you need to do to upload your work to register for this this contest. Okay, make sure you pay before this deadline. Okay. All right, I'll wait for a little bit longer. If you have any questions, please unmute yourself or type your question in the chat box.
Nicole 吗？
嗨
跟着Nicole。对啊，我怎么了？就是我
Okay, let me see the question. What's the deadline for registration? So registration deadline, each state is different. After you put in your own school information, you'll see on the right side on your dashboard. And you see the art deadline and then the writing deadline. How much can we write in about your work section? It didn't actually show any word limit, but since it says it's a brief summary, you shouldn't make it too long. Personally, I would suggest like probably 3 sentences or so. Okay, thank you, Andrew. All right, if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me through WeChat or email me anytime. And I'll stay here for a little bit longer, like 5 minutes. And you can try to upload a work and then ask me if you have any questions. You only see the art guideline. But here I have a question. The student said they only see the art guideline. I'm not quite sure why is the reason. Did you choose that you only want to participate in art or anything like that? Can you try to upload a work and then see if you can choose writing? That's you're in Canada. I'm not quite sure. I don't think that's the reason. But if you don't see the writing section, maybe you can email the context and ask what's going on, and because you should be able to see both region. And also maybe you can try it at work right here and then see right here, like the second question, what type of work is this? And then see if you can choose writing. And then I'll type my email right here in the chat box. And then this is my WeChat if you have any question. Okay, so if you're able to choose writing, I would suggest maybe you can just Google it, Google like a Scholastic writing context deadline for Region Canada. Are there rubrics on how this competition just works? If there is rubric, it should be in their main website. Let's see. Scholastic Art and Writing Award. You should be able to find all the information right here. One sec. Actually, Ray, so let me get back to your question. If you go to their official website and then click on my region right here, it's currently being updated. So maybe your region's deadline is not set yet. For the rubric question, Andre, should be right here, the award recognition or award selection, right? They should tell you something about the rubric. And does each category have a word limit? Yes, the answer is yes, that's positive. Let's see how to enter. You should be able to find everything on their website. For example, view categories. And then right here, you can choose, for example, the critical essay, and then it will tell you the word limit. For example, for critical essay, the word limit is 500 to 3,000 words. And then for the dramatic script, it will be 500 to 3,000 as well. So you should be able to find everything here. Okay, thank you, Andre. Okay, I see a lot of students are leaving, so I'll stay here for like several more minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask me right now. All right, I think that's probably most of the questions for now. And once again, if you have any questions while you're uploading your work, please feel free to email me or add me on WeChat and ask me anytime. All righty, thank you so much and have a good night.